A message for my people.
Nick Dad, baby. We the new label.
Yeah.
Come on. Come on, son.
Now this the black sheep, sticking it to him. I need a crib like I'm Gatsby.
I need it.
In hand, just understand my pocket's that deep.
With
nothing to prove, I ain't got nothing to do. When they can't compete and I got nothing to lose. You see, they told me I'm
What's
the
good,
one
everybody?
that's
Welcome back to
already
Veterans Minimum in Sticky Paws Studio. I'm your host, Nick Deus, at Nick Deus 10 as you can find me. To my right, Cubs Nation.
That's right.
Fist me, bro. It's been a minute.
That's right, baby. First play. Yeah. He's starting off on the wrong foot.
Yeah, the influence is crazy. I'm around it all the time. Yeah, the other day I was on the we had finished recording and I went to Cam. I was like, yo, I want to be more than just your editor and producer. I had this whole like business proposal, but my approach was that, and he was like, "Hey, yo," I was like, "So much for trying to be serious of you."
Nah,
bro.
listen, Cam, and you put this on your page, and then it went viral too. Cam, I'm fucking a grown man right now, was out of line.
Yeah.
That was completely that was bonkers. I was like, bruh, that's. And then he
too
still
much.
didn't even it took him like a full 3 minutes to figure out what had happened.
Yeah.
I was like, bro, that's crazy. And I don't say that's crazy in love. I was like, that's crazy.
That
Yeah,
was
that's
nuts.
nuts.
That was definitely nuts. And to my left, my dog, Kenny King Jr.
What up, brother?
Raider Nation. Don't say nothing bad about the Raiders. He might swing on you.
No. Look, that is one team that I've always had like admiration for.
Yeah.
I never have really cheered against the Raiders. Never had any hate towards the Raiders. So, yeah, I'm a Redskins fan. So
Okay.
I ain't got we ain't got no beef. I was always a John Gruden guy all the way back to the Chucky days, in the old Coliseum. So no, I ain't got no problem with the Raiders.
Hey, I was a Gruden guy the first time. Second time around, I was like, nah, I don't want this dude.
Really?
Honestly, I haven't wanted the last few coaches until AP. I mean, you had Josh McDaniels. I didn't want him. John Gruden, I wasn't really happy about him. You also had Jack Del Rio. I wasn't fond of him either. So I was not big on him. Especially then he goes and trades away my favorite player in Khalil Mack, and then trades away Amari Cooper, and then uses those first round picks to draft a bunch of busts.
A bag of beans.
Yeah, I mean, out of those picks, you had Josh Jacobs, who was the only one who was worth the salt.
Wow.
And the crazy thing is, I talk about this on my pod a lot, is in the past 20 years, the Raiders have only retained one of their first round picks, and that's Colton Miller.
Yikes.
Bro, you're talking to a Giants fan.
Hey, Daniel Jones got a second contract, though.
Look, Daniel Jones, Dexter Lawrence, Andrew Thomas,
Yep.
JPP, then traded, not even a year after. Odell, then traded, not even a year after.
Yeah.
That's the list
That's the list
over the last 20 years.
since 2007, because I've talked about this ad nauseum over and over again, that you can't have – we just had the draft, right? And the way over the last couple of years people have evaluated what a successful first-round pick is, they basically chalk it up to, do you re-sign with the team that drafted you a second contract?
Yeah.
That's what they mean is a successful draft pick. And as I was thinking about it, I was like, yo, you know what, man? That kind of makes sense, right? Like, you invest a lot of capital in that player. Do they come back with you? You can't have what's been happening to the Raiders and the Giants where none of them re-sign.
Yeah.
Because then you put more stress where when you find a dude in the 4th or 5th round, you find a Puka,
Yeah.
you're like, yo, that's a steal, bro.
Max.
That just made our draft. Whereas the other guys you're supposed to hit on and retain them, and everyone else in the 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th round, those are luxuries.
Well, and that's what actually makes the draft a good draft.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, my team just drafted Jaden Daniels, and everyone asked me how I feel, and I'm like, it's the Jaden Daniels draft. If Jaden Daniels turns out, it was a great year.
Yeah.
It was a great draft. But if he doesn't, it's a horrible draft.
I think he's going to be a stud. I wanted the Raiders to draft him. I was really hoping that the Raiders would draft him. A guy who grew up with AP. He played for AP at Arizona State.
ASU, yeah.
They have that relationship. I was really hoping that they were going to get him. But I hope he does well. I mean, he's a guy that I really want to see do well. CJ Stroud was another one that I wanted to draft. And those are generational players who I think are going to do really well. I think Caleb and this quarterback class is ridiculous. And I know that Nick wants to talk about it later, but we're going to get into, some of the reaches that they had just because there were so many quarterbacks being taken that you almost had to make that reach just so you could get your guy.
The Falcons, though.
They pissed me off because Penix was my number 2 guy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
and the Raiders were slated to draft him. Like
Yeah.
everything was mocked out for the Raiders to take him at 13.
Yeah.
Nobody had the Falcons take. You pay Kirk Cousins all that money, and then you draft a quarterback.
We're going off schedule. Go ahead,
Yeah,
Nick.
sorry.
Get us
No,
back
you know what?
before we go on a tangent.
No, I kind of like this, and I figure we start with that instead of ending with it. One of the conversations I wanted to have with you guys kind of ties in everything that we're talking about now, like this whole idea about draft process and the process, and it kind of pivots from what we just saw. The 76ers lose to the Knicks, right?
Mm-hmm.
Knicks move on. They beat them in 6. And this whole thing kind of stems from me watching the Sixers game, and I'm watching Embiid. And, bro, you know what's crazy? You ever watch an athlete and you're like, yo, he's still young. Like, in your head, he's young.
Yeah,
And then you realize he's been in the league for a decade.
yeah,
That happened to me with Embiid, bro. Because I've been hearing about the process, and I'm like, oh, it's still like relatively new, you know? Like, dude, Devin Booker is going into year 9.
Yeah.
And I still felt like, oh, he just got here yesterday.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And sometimes you're watching sports and you just don't realize, like, these guys are coming into the league so much younger now than ever before. They're 18, 19 years old. And then by the time they're in their prime, they already have a decade in. Bro, Paul George, 14 years in the league.
Yeah.
yeah.
They were doing the intros when they played the Mavs the last game, and I was like, you're 14. I'm like, when? When the fuck did that happen?
Well, I mean, think about it. Paul George done changed numbers and broke his leg, came
Yeah.
back from a
Yeah.
broken leg.
Multiple teams.
Paul George has been he's
been around.
been around.
Yeah. So it got me thinking about how long do we have to give you for you to fulfill what you're supposed to for a team or a person or a job? Like, if anything, in general. The process has been going on for a decade plus. And, bro, he got drafted 3rd overall in 2014.
Yeah.
Right? Since then.
wild.
Listen to some of these picks. The year after, Jahlil Okafor off the team.
Damn.
Ben Simmons off the team. Markelle Fultz off the team. Mikal Bridges turns out to be a stud, gets traded to the Suns. So off the team. Tyrese Maxey, he's still there.
Very good.
Jaden Springer from Tennessee 3 years ago. Don't even think he cracked any minutes on the 76ers.
I don't even know his name.
Yeah, I don't.
So those are just their first round picks, right? And it's how much longer do we trust the process, Josh?
I mean, look, the process is over, but the one thing that I can say for Embiid, it just sucks that he gets hurt every year this time of year. Like we've only really seen him probably full capacity 1, maybe 2 runs.
And he won the MVP one of those.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. But then other people get hurt. And so it's like, I just mentioned it on my show earlier, like, you know, this league is just, it's a very soft league. It just is. And I know, you know, the people out there are going to hate on me because I'm an old man on my porch, but it's like, when it comes down to it, man, like, bro, like, I give it up to Embiid because he was out there balling and you could see that he was hampered.
Yeah.
When he first came back from that knee, every time he pulled a 3, I was like, good. Let's go get that rebound. Because like he was gonna be short.
Yep.
He had no lift. You know what I mean? And at the end, he still was out there getting 35. So I feel like they just, you know, look, Tobias Harris getting $36 million and not putting up no points. They can do a lot with that money. So I look more towards what are they gonna do with the money that they're about to get back versus the process is, you know, like it hasn't been a good process. There's been some double doink Kawhi Leonard buckets that led to a title for the Raptors. There's been some heartbreak in there that wasn't always their doing. So
I think that he is not going. As long as he's with Philly, he's not going to do well. He needs a supporting cast around him, and he needs to not be the focal point of the team. He needs to be kind of that guy who's a role player. You know, me as a Warriors fan, I look at, you know, my team and you know, this is a team where basically everything runs through Steph. But the Warriors have always needed a big, and that's one of the things they don't have. I think if he were to go to the Warriors, they'd win a championship.
Oh, for sure.
You restrict his minutes, you get him, you know, you cycle him in there with Looney and the other guys out there. But I think that gives him a lot more chance to win. He's not going to win in Philly.
Yeah. Now, before Knicks jumps back in, James Wiseman, like we didn't want to develop him.
Kerr doesn't like to develop young players.
Yeah,
you saw it with Wiseman. You saw it with Poole. You saw it with Nick Bell.
Oh, hold on. The Poole thing, I think, is mad different, bro.
Well,
Poole was working.
Yeah,
Poole was working until whatever happened.
Yeah,
that led for Draymond to. This goes back to your old man on the porch comment because this league is soft. People talking about Draymond is dirty player. Draymond's this and that. We grew up watching ball back in the 80s and 90s.
Players,
right.
Yeah.
Like Dennis Rodman, like if Dennis Rodman was playing today, he'd be in jail. Like, come on.
Look, and my thing from what Nick is saying as far as the practice punch heard around the world, like that was really an internal
that should have stayed in-house.
There's no way that doesn't leak out from someone within the organization.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That never, ever should have seen the light of day. No. There are practice fights all the time in the NBA.
Yeah.
Not nearly as much as the era that we're discussing.
Right.
But it still happens all the time. There's planes on fights. I mean, there's fights on the plane.
Jordan punched Kerr in the head.
Yes.
I mean, come on.
And no one really knew about that until The Last Dance came out.
No, that came out beforehand. We knew about that one. They gave you in depth. But we did know about that one.
Okay.
Yeah.
I take that back then. Because I agree with you, man. I think that things get only leaked out because someone wants it to be leaked out. And that kind of, I think, ruined a little bit of the Warriors' aura. And like Poole was supposed to be the heir apparent. He played really well as what they call him, the splash cousin.
Yeah.
Right? Like you had the really splash brothers and then you had the pool party. That's what it was.
Party.
Yeah.
And like, bro, he was a big part of why they ended up winning a championship.
Yes, he was.
He played a big hand in the finals.
Yeah, but I mean, bro, it's hard. Put yourself in Poole's shoes. You get fucking flatlined because he got knocked out.
Yeah.
And then the video goes public.
Yep.
How do you play with?
And then you're asked about it every day.
You're asked about it every day. How do you play on the same team with that guy?
But do you see how it going public now made it something?
That's the
because
problem.
if it never goes public,
right,
we never talk about it.
Right.
It never even exists. There might be some some consternation on the team. Like there might be some like, oh, the team's a little off, whatever.
I don't agree, bro. Because I think there's, if me and you get into it and we fucking grab each other by the shirt and we like shake each other out and then like maybe you slap me, I slap you back, I think we could move past that.
Yeah.
But if you come and fucking hit me flush and knock me out, I think I'm asking for a trade. Or if I'm the superstar, I'm asking, yo, Josh gotta go, bro. Or
But what if
it's different
But
levels.
if it was warranted?
If it was warranted?
What if you were talking reckless?
Because Poole said, I fucked more girls in Michigan State than you did.
It's always money and women, man.
Yeah, that was the other thing too. He was talking about the money.
Yeah.
And like, because Cam and Mace they actually like put it out there.
The ones that put it out there,
said. And so the stuff that came out was actually really funny. But it was like, yeah, I see how you got hit.
It's some egregious shit. Like, I mean,
it was.
If you said something reckless, I hit you. You're like, you acknowledge, you know what, I kind of deserve that. We shake hands, we move on.
Yeah.
I've fought friends before. Like full-on fist fights.
We're men.
Yeah. We're naturally aggressive. We have testosterone. That sometimes words don't do it.
Yeah.
Sometimes you gotta knock somebody out.
I think it really came down to like he was saying, being asked about it all the time.
Yes.
For it going viral, for it becoming something on ESPN that ran for months.
It's the same thing with KD.
Yes. Yeah. The situation where they had the fight on the bench, that going viral and always being something to talk about. Now KD wants out. Like those two are, I think, very seminal moments in terms of tearing down the fabric of that organization. More than anything else, truthfully. That and giving up on James Wiseman, but I digress. I'll let you go ahead and get back to it.
Yeah, but also like their guys got old too, man. Like,
1000%.
Clay eventually, even though he had, a handful of flashes this year of the old Clay, an Achilles and an ACL in
Back to back.
24 months.
Yeah.
Back to back. Yeah. So it was gonna pile up, man. But to go back to, I like that fit about him going to Golden State. Steve Kerr does want guys that are like, we're not developing. We need to win now because Curry's 36.
Yeah.
He ain't gonna get any younger.
Yeah.
Though I do feel like his his game is gonna stay the same. Like we'll still have the Curry for another 3 years.
Yeah.
Because his style of play, it's always been my favorite kind of style of play where he's not built on explosiveness.
Yeah.
You're still having a John Wall, Steve Francis, fucking Russ.
Allen Iverson.
When your athleticism, Blake Griffin, when that goes, bro, when that goes, that's why like I gravitate to the Paul Pierces of the world and the Lucas. They play a lot slower, more methodical.
My game isn't going to change.
It's going to stay the same.
Yeah.
You're going to be a 73 speed in 2K forever. From rookie year to
Not
when you retire.
a 73.
Yeah, that's it. I'd rather that than be a 99 and then after 4 years I'm a 60.
I'm an 88, and that 88 is different. It's like, bro, he ain't the same, bro. I can't get to my spot.
You know who else is like that too? Kind of Ja, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's going to be interesting. It's because, like, you have to have that second punch, and a lot of guys don't. You know what I mean? Like, when AI couldn't get to that spot anymore, and then also, because think about Ray Allen. Ray Allen always could shoot, but Ray Allen used to dunk on people. But when he stopped dunking on people, I still can shoot.
He was still a shooter.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, that's how he was able to fade into a different role. Allen Iverson, Carmelo, certain guys, like, it's hard for them to go to the bench because it's like, I'm always been the guy, but then now my game isn't allowing me to be that guy anymore, and I don't have secondary skills where I can still give you this. Grant Hill became a great defender at the end of his career because it was like, well, that's how I'm going to stay on these teams. You know what I'm saying? Like, you have to have another pitch.
Yeah, Clay, I think Clay got to go. I think just new start.
I think with Clay, what you're going to see is his performance in the playing game. I think that's what's going to keep him in Golden State because no team's going to want to give him that max deal. No team's going to want to give him that big contract. And so I think that's what keeps him, I think he's probably going to do a 2-3 year deal, stay in Golden State, the big three retire together. And just, go right off into the sunset. Hopefully get one more chip, and right off into the sunset. Get your statue in front of Chase Center and,
KD comes home. He comes back. Give him a 2-year run. They have a shot for 2 more years.
You're talking about Durant going back there too?
I could see it. I could see it happening. Because look, everybody always thought that Steph needed KD to win.
He proved he didn't.
Steph won without KD.
Yeah.
KD went and got a super team in New York. He got a super team down in Phoenix and still couldn't win.
Yeah.
So
had one before in OKC.
Yeah. I mean, like at the end of the day, there's a common denominator there. You were the centerpiece here. You weren't there in Golden State, and then you win. Because you didn't have to have all the focus on you.
Yeah.
It's interesting because we always gravitate to the wing and like the forwards as being the alpha and the one. But then when you look, it's the guard.
Yeah, it's the guard. It's a quarterback of your team. That's the quarterback.
That's today's game though too. The reason that it used to be the big guy before was because everything went. They were the sun. Everything else orbited around the big.
Yep.
Now everything's on the outside. The big is secondary or third. Thirdly, truthfully now, everything focuses through the point guard now.
Yeah, it's my thing is with Golden State and just in general, because you said something there that I didn't want to brush over about Oklahoma City having a super team. I don't think that's fair because I don't think Golden State, the big three, was a super team. I think that team was drafted.
Well, they were drafted.
No, they were all drafted.
They developed into being a super team.
Yes. No,
but
not a super team.
that was all in-house.
Yes.
Super team is what we have in Phoenix.
Yeah.
Durant went there. Beal went there.
Yeah.
Booker was already there. So to me, those are there's a different description and levels to what super teams are.
And I always give more respect to you doing it in-house.
Yeah.
You building it. Like what OKC has been doing, they built that pretty much from studs. Shea he only was in LA for 1 year. He wasn't drafted there, but he spent his entire career there developing there. You know what I mean? Like the teams, whether it's the Nuggets, the only person that wasn't there was Aaron Gordon.
Yeah.
Everybody else was drafted there.
Yeah.
So like those teams that do it, I always give more respect to that, and that's why you have more long-term success. It wasn't you're not a carpetbagger. The fans don't love you just because we're supposed to.
Right.
We love you because we watched you.
Right.
You know what I mean?
We
It's
watch
just
you
different.
grow, watch you progress, and that kind of takes it back to Embiid. It's like people want to love him, they want him to do well, but he doesn't have the tools. He doesn't have. He's got. You're building a house, and all he has is a hammer.
Yeah.
He doesn't have any nails. He doesn't have any wood. He doesn't have anything. And so, how do you do it? Say, oh, go out there and build me a house.
I got no plan.
What you want me to do? I can't do anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then you look at like they hit a home run with Maxey, right?
Yes.
They make the decision to get rid of Harden to keep the money to eventually pay him.
Mm-hmm.
Tobias Harris is going to come off the books. That's crazy. He's made the most money in NBA history for a guy that never made an All-Star game.
Really?
Yes, yeah.
That's crazy.
By a lot, too.
by a lot.
That's crazy.
By like 30 or 40 million.
Yeah. So you have that. That's going to come off the books. Batum was like a rental throw-in, expiring contract, I should say, when they got Harden. Yeah, man. I think, and here's the thing, right? Like, this happens in sports all the time. And I feel like it's a mistake. But I also understand why people make that mistake. Because Embiid is good enough for you to win an MVP with him. It's good enough for you to win 50 games, to be a top 4 seed, be a 1 seed. But then the ceiling is the second round of the playoffs. Same like Dak Prescott. Same like Tua.
Yeah.
Yo, regular season, September to January 8th, whenever the regular season ends.
Sublime.
Give me those guys. Come January 15th, 16th, when it's wild card weekend and divisional, it's LGs, bro. They ain't making it past this round. So what do you do? What do you do if you're an organization? And I'm always fascinated by this because I don't know what the right answer is, because everyone wants the opportunity to make the playoffs because then you have a chance, right? But when you get there, your ceiling is already capped. So are these guys worth $50 million a year, in your opinion, when you know what the ceiling is? Or would you rather try to find someone else and see what happens?
Well, I'll say this. So first, especially in the NBA, Gilbert Arenas has talked about this years ago. Most owners truly only want to get to the playoffs. And that's very similar to Jerry Jones. You know what I mean? Winning is secondary. Let me get to the playoffs. Let me give the appearance that we look good and we're going to do well. But when it comes down to it, I really don't care. Just getting there, getting that extra money is all that I really want. As far as Dak goes, as a Giants fan, sign him again. Yeah, I mean, as a Redskins fan, sign him again, bring him back. You know what I'm saying? Because in the end, like you said, we know what the ceiling is.
Yeah, but
they won't tear it down.
But I don't like him being in the NFC East.
No,
they've beaten us 12 straight times. Why would I like it?
But if you see him in the playoffs, it's a wrap.
It's a different game.
Rap-a-doodle.
It's a different ball game.
My team is 19 first-round picks away from being in the playoffs. My team is nowhere near the playoffs.
That's incorrect.
The worst thing to happen to the Giants was them making the playoffs in 2016, and then what happened when they made the playoffs 2 years ago. And it's great. You beat Minnesota. It's cool. I have these arguments all the time, man, because I feel like I'm a very rational fan. I never go into every season saying, yo, they're going to win the Super Bowl. They're not going to win the division, like someone I know all the time when they talks about his team.
Oh, okay.
I don't say we're going to win the Super Bowl, but I definitely do say we're going to be a top team in the division, and we have been.
You have been.
We've been in second place the past couple of years now. So
don't feel bad, because I said my Redskins were going to get 12 this year. So
he also on the football preview show is a running joke. Fucking Oprah 2.0. Every team had 12 wins.
You got 12 wins. You got 12 wins. You got 12 wins.
The whole NFC, I think the worst team had 6 wins and everyone else had 12. I was like, yo, it's not possible.
How does that happen?
It's not. You gotta fucking fix
do
this.
that?
I don't know, but when we got to the end of it, I was like, I did give away like maybe about 7 12-win teams. We got a lot of 12s, a lot of 12 and 5.
Carolina Panthers, 12 wins.
Yeah.
No, them I had picked for 2.
Okay.
They had 2.
Yeah, he was right about that one. But dude, So I feel like I'm a very rational fan, right? Like I never go in there. I'm pretty objective with my teams, and with the Giants, I had one buddy of mine. I was tweeting during the draft. I was like, I would like to get a wide receiver. I'd like to get neighbors, but we still have 19 holes to fix on the team. We're still gonna go 4-13.
You think so?
Yeah, the team is in really bad shape. The team has like 5 guys that other teams would want. Like I like looking at my team sometimes. I'm like, yo, if I ask a Raider fan, like, yo, who would you want from the Giants?
and they hesitate.
I can't think of anybody.
Right.
Besides neighbors, but we don't need them.
Come on.
That's probably, but that's an issue.
I can tell you. Daggone it. Now
he's stuck.
Isaiah
Simmons?
Yeah, Isaiah Simmons.
You could have him. You could have him. Let's not get too crazy.
It's only because you don't know how to use them.
But here's the thing. But
nobody's known how to use them so far.
Yeah.
So
and this is my point that I'm making. This is my point. This is the issue with the Giants. We need a quarterback.
Yes.
Right? So since we need a quarterback, Giants fans were telling me, hey, we should trade the 6th pick to go up to 2 and 3. I'm like, you guys are fucking idiots. But these are the same Giants fans that were fucking, hey, Tommy. And they were hyped about a 3-game winning streak when I was telling people, like, yo, this is dope. However, remember this in May, even though the draft is in April.
Yeah,
right? I got my
yeah.
months. But remember this in April. Remember this in May when Washington is going to want your first and 2 other firsts and a second to move up when you have 19 holes on your team to fix. You can't afford to give those picks up. So that's what I was saying. I'm a believer in if my team blows, suck.
Blow all the way.
Yes.
Pause.
Hey, yo.
Super.
But suck. I want you to be bad. I don't want you to be an 8-win team and then you lose by 30 in a wild card, and then you have the 18th pick when you have all these holes. I don't want to be that. So the same Giants fans that were happy about the 3-game winning streak were then upset that the Giants didn't trade up in the draft to get a Drake May or a Jaden Daniels or even a Caleb Williams. And I was telling them, yo, you guys are idiots. This is what you get for wanting that initially. You wanted those 3 games that they won in November for no reason. This is what happens. You can't afford to mortgage your future when you don't have those, when you have all these issues. Right. Now, if you're the Kansas City Chiefs,
you can afford it.
Yeah, you have Mahomes. You have a lot of people on your team that you're happy with. Yeah, trade next year's 1 and the year after's 2 to go up and get Marvin Harrison, for example. I'm just throwing up a hypothetical.
Sure.
Because you don't have a lot of holes on your team. When we're a team like the Giants who have the 2nd worst win total in the NFC, you ain't making no trades, bro. Mortgaging in the future.
Yeah, when you're a team that needs a quarterback, but you need other things, you got to take care of those other things first.
Yeah.
And start building that team. Now, if you're a team that needs a quarterback and you have everything else in place, or you only have a couple pieces that you like, I look at the Raiders and they're a team that's almost a quarterback away. I mean, you've got receivers, you've got tight ends, you've got, the defense is nasty. They're maybe a corner away on defense. They filled up the linebacker spot. Offensively, the offensive line is solid. The running game, let's see what Zamir White does this year. But, you bring in Dylan Lobb, you bring in Alexander Madison. That running back stable's solid. So, really, that's a team that's just a quarterback away.
You're worse than me.
No, but listen, you got the best receiver.
I love him.
But you got
really
the best wide receiver in the game in Devontae Adams. You got Jacoby Myers, who's a solid number 2.
Yes.
He's a number 1 on at least 5 or 6 teams.
Maybe 2 or 3.
Yeah, well, he was, I'd say, the Patriots. Just off the top of my head, he was the number 1 with the Patriots.
He was.
He was the one with the Patriots.
He was.
He right now, I mean, you look at the receiving core in Kansas City, he'd be a 1 there. Who do they got?
What? They got Hollywood Brown.
They got Hollywood, but what has he done?
Shoot. Who has he had to throw? Who has he had throwing him the ball?
He had Lamar.
As I continue to move forward.
But you love Lamar. Now you don't like Lamar because they don't support your point?
No. I love Lamar, but is Lamar gonna dot somebody up and hit me on time over and over and over and over again? Not really.
I hear what you're saying, but my thing has been, there's no more until he retires, or until we visibly see a decline in play, it's Patrick Mahomes, 25 feet of dirt than everyone else.
25 feet
I
of
agree.
dirt.
He's different.
It just has to be.
But
different.
you know what I'm saying? So Hollywood Brown going there,
It might make a difference.
very different. And then also now you got the Bills. God bless. I think we were texting back and forth about that. Them going and getting Xavier Worthy.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So now you get potentially Tyreek Hill 2.0 back there with Hollywood Brown. Oh, and we still got Mecole Hardman back. So they have literal cheetahs and gazelles.
They got
now.
speed.
It's
They've
out
got
of
speed.
hand.
Yeah.
So that's gonna be a whole different ball of wax. And they got that rugby player. We haven't been on the show together since the rugby player got picked up there that runs 26 miles an hour. Like, they got a lot.
But rugby,
I'm gonna wait on the rugby.
yeah, the rugby. I
I'm
mean,
gonna just-
we saw the rugby experiment in San Francisco, and it didn't. You know,
Andy Reid, baby. That's all.
I won't.
That's the only thing I'll
but
say.
that's the other thing
Shanahan,
too. So when you talk
Shanahan.
when you
So
talk
it's not
about
like he was
coaching,
going to
That's fair.
a jobber head coach,
Yeah.
he was going somewhere good.
but when you
that's
talk about coaching, it's the same thing as with Pat Mahomes. I think you got Andy Reid. It's not 25 feet of dirt, but you got Andy Reid, and there's a pretty good solid
Drop off.
You got the Sean McVays, you have the Shanahans. Shanahan's also kind of one of those things like a Dak Prescott or a Joel Embiid,
Yes.
though. Like, he gets you there, but then he's going to choke in the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Or he'll get you there, and then,
Something's gonna happen.
yeah.
Yeah. I hate saying that a coach choked, man. But when you don't know the rules, right? When you do things like that, when the other team, I always think of it as like, yo, if I make this decision, how many people are going to be happy I made this decision, and how many people are going to be upset? That's going to dictate my decisions. And I kind of live my life that way too. Not to get too deep, but like when I go about my business on a day-to-day, whether it's podcasting, sports, whatever it might be, life shit, it's like, yo, if I do this, how is Josh and Kenny going to feel about it? Positively or negatively? Maybe I want it to affect you negatively because I'm petty. Right, so like I know if I tell you I just locked up the sponsor, I know it's gonna get them tight negatively. Right, I'm just using an example. But then on the flip side, it's like, yo, if I go and I do this, are they gonna be mad at me? Am I being a dick like what we were talking about before with Draymond and Poole? Like, bro, I've been slapped by one of my friends and he was like, yo, you deserve that shit, bro. And I was like, I did. So how does it affect you negatively and positively?
Yeah.
And I think with Kyle Shanahan, that Super Bowl call, man, when he says that they want the ball, and all of Kansas City's like, yo, what?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Like that to me is gonna be the lasting impact of his legacy until he gets over the hump. And he's an amazing coach. I used to think he was overrated, but he's been in the NFC title game, I think, 4 of the last 5 years.
But this isn't the first time that he's choked.
Right.
He
It's
choked this
becoming
Super
a
Bowl.
recurring
He
thing.
choked the last Super Bowl.
Yeah.
He choked with
He choked
28-3.
Yeah, he choked with 28-3. So I mean, you know, that's where you start to have that conversation. You know, how much more can you take? Yes, he gets you to the NFC title game, but as an owner, do you want to just go to the NFC title game? Like, you know, it's like
Most would say yes.
but you want to win. At the end
Yeah,
of the
of
day,
course.
you wanna win.
No, of course.
You know,
of
they've been
course.
on a quest for 6 since 1994. Or
Yeah.
since
94. 94.
You know, and so, you know, that's where you start looking at it as like, okay, you're going to the title game, you're going to the Super Bowl. What's next?
Yeah.
You know, and you've got everything. You've got, you know, the great white hype and Brock Purdy, who's, you know, come out Mr. Irrelevant and just, you know, blew the lights off. And
Did you call him the Great White Hype?
the great white hype.
I fuck with that. That's good.
That's the movie. You
That's
never
good.
never seen Great White Hype?
Nah.
Woody Harrelson?
No.
Oh,
Really?
Bro, you're talking to
dog.
someone that I watched. I never watched movies growing up.
Okay, so this is
I didn't watch Sandlot till I was 25.
What?
Oh, come on now, Nick. All right, so this. Okay,
So I don't know nothing about
we're not gonna
movies,
go
bro.
bad and backwards, but yes, Great White Hype. Damon Wayans.
Yes.
Samuel L. Jackson had a like a wig, a white wig, like lace front wig. Who else is in that movie? Jamie Foxx, a young Jamie Foxx in that movie.
Woody.
Woody Harrelson. Like that movie is great.
It's goated.
And but basically the movie was Damon Wayans was a boxer that the fans stopped liking. He wasn't very marketable. He was only beat one time in his career by a white fighter. It was when he was an amateur. The white fighter never became a pro. They went and found the white fighter, like pumped him up, like similar to like Conor versus Floyd type thing. And so my favorite line in the whole movie was like, "You trying to embarrass me on national television?"
Yeah.
That's my favorite moment. And when Nick gets to that point, he'll laugh at me twice.
Oh yeah.
But that's a good one. That's a good movie.
You got to watch that one, Nick. That's a good one.
You got to go watch.
It's a classic.
That name, the Great White Hype, is very accurate for Brock Purdy. That shit got me hyped. All right, let's go and take a break before we get into some NBA.
Before we continue with this episode of Veterans Minimum, we have a new sponsor. Unified Healing is a new and super innovative global network of wellness centers powered by Energy Enhancement Systems, or EESystem. If you haven't heard of EESystem yet, you'll want to listen up. Whether you are a world-class athlete or an absolute stud, washed-up podcaster like myself, we all understand the importance of mental and physical well-being and to proper recover from top-notch performances. Technology promotes wellness, deep relaxation, purification, that's a massive word, and rejuvenation. Whether you are here in Las Vegas or hundreds of other locations across the globe, that's the entire world, access to a center is easy and affordable. Interested in experiencing the EESystem technology for yourself? Go to unifiedhealing.com/VETMIN. That's VETMIN to learn more and find a center near you. It's spelled UNIFYD healing.com/VET, VETMIN, VETMIN. No material or testimonials on the Unified Healing website are intended to be viewed as medical advice or as a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Always seek the advice of your physician or other qualified healthcare providers with any questions you may have regarding a medical condition or treatment, and before undertaking a new healthcare regimen, including EESystem. That's unifiedhealing.com/VETMIN to check it out.
All right, we're back. Remember, patreon.com/veterans minimum, everybody. We're doing the drawing on the Thursday show for who's going to get the Jordan 11s, and then we'll announce what the May giveaway is going to be. So, fellas, I'm going to take a victory lap for my New York Knicks. On to the next round. They play the Pacers. At the time of recording, it's prior to game one of this series. I was telling Kenny, Josh, on the way over here, I was like, yo, you know what? I think this describes New Yorkers to a T. Mm-hmm. And then he was saying a lot about, like, where he's from the Bay Area. There's been a lot of videos circulating of NBA media people talking bad about Jalen Brunson. And it's... Oh, yeah, I saw that. When they first brought him. When they first brought him. Or even recently, like, Becky Hammond was on ESPN saying, like, you know, he's like 6 foot. He's not a 6'6", you know, physically imposing. And, you know, from Stephen A. Smith to Mad Dog Russo, all these people. And then they cut to, at least the video I saw, they cut to Knicks fans also shitting on Jalen Brunson. But then those same Knicks fans are now, like, pro Jalen Brunson. Yeah. And I told Kenny, I was like, bro, New Yorkers, we can shit on our people. We ain't letting you do it. Yeah. So we're not going to let you clown New York City. Like, I get clowned, like, if you go to my Instagram, there's mad times I'm like, oh, my people are doing well. And it's just like, it's a crazy protest over Gatorade being $7 or some shit. Or it's just like some wildness going on in New York City. It's like, I can shit on these people because they're my people. But if you guys were to dump on New York, I'd be like, yeah, hold on. Well, that's like, that's how it is with Jalen Brunson, bro. Like right now, Jalen Brunson, man, that dude is, the way this is progressing and bang for your buck, like the contract now, he's underpaid. Yes, he is. He's vastly underpaid. Yeah, that's true. And when he first got there, people were hesitant, right? Because you look at, and sometimes, bro, it's scheme, it's fit, it's also
opportunity,
right? We've talked about this in the past, like, and even CJ, shouts to CJ Watson, was on the show last week. I asked him the first time he came on, my bro, if a team offered you the chance, he's like, oh, I could get 30 every night. And that was the same thing that you told me too a while back, because his brother played in the league, in the NBA. And with Brunson, they gave him the keys to the city. He's delivered. And New Yorkers, they fuck with that, bro. They fuck with the underdog story. He got dumped on when he came here. He's like, nah, yo, you're going to shit on our guy?
Yeah.
We ain't having that.
Yeah. And I know we're going to get into this as far as the matchup and everything. My only concern for the Knicks and for Tom Thibodeau is that late game execution, and in the fourth quarter, the last 8 minutes of the game, it's just Jalen save us. And it can't be that moving forward. They have to get more just involvement, because it's not even like get more from, because the other dudes aren't even getting opportunities.
Yeah.
Like, it's just spread it out, maybe run a screen, but they don't even run screens for Jalen a lot of times. It's just Jalen go make magic, and it's like, bro, like he's not getting by his guy and then dunking on him. Right. A big is still bothering his shot. Embiid, that was what was happening. He would get to the basket, he wouldn't get a foul, but the shot would get bothered, and it's like, bro, like there would be 4 or 5 minute stretches where everything would get stagnant, and it's like, we got to keep moving this ball. DiVincenzo, OG Anunoby, freaking the bigs, Robinson and Hartenstein, Josh Hart, all of them still have to be intricate parts of the team.
Yeah.
And it can't be 8 minute stretches of just Jalen go to work.
And I'm glad that you're on here, Kenny, because first of all, I always like when you join the show, and I appreciate your time. But second of all, DiVincenzo came to ball in Game 6 against Philly, and he was kind of quiet for a couple games there. And, dude, he was, for as much hype as Brunson was getting the last, 3 months in the regular season, bro, Dante was balling also.
Dante's a baller.
Yes, he was.
He's scrappy. He kind of fits, the mold of what, a New York basketball player is. Mm-hmm. And, even though he's not born and raised in New York, that's what New York Knicks fans gravitate to. Yeah. And you got to see him when he played with the Warriors, and I think him stepping up to be that second guy that can get you 20, because you're right, bro. That's why I think a lot of people, if you look at the betting markets, dude, the Celtics are minus 300 to win the East. That's crazy. That's like a 70% implied total, where everything else in the West is like a plus number. And I think the big reason why is, for as much hype as the Knicks are getting and how well the Knicks are playing, it's that. It's like, yeah, all right, bro, now we're going to have Drew, Derek White, we get the different bodies. Brown and Tatum could switch onto them. They're way more versatile. And I think that's where they miss Randall, the last 4 minutes. Even though he's shot them out of games in the past and he's been a nightmare in the playoffs, I think that's where they miss him. But I think this Knicks team, especially at home, it's a tough place to go and play.
Oh, yeah.
I love every moment of these games at MSG.
Honestly, I tweeted this out the other day, is I want to see the Knicks succeed because I like watching the fans. The content after the games, the fan base is just so wild and crazy that I live for that. I live for that content.
Hey, bro, Kenny, how do you feel about the Knicks?
I fuck Philly cheesesteak. Yeah. Don't ever disrespect me.
Yeah. Dude, the craziest thing is that they Side Talk NYC. Shouts to those guys. They first went viral when they beat the Celtics in a regular season game to start the season. That was just, it was the home opener.
Yeah.
The fans, and that's why I've always said, bro, there's not a city in the world that if their team won the championship would go as wild as New York would for the Knicks. Because the New York is the Knicks team. Yeah. The Knicks is New York's team. Because baseball, you have Mets and Yankees. Kind of a divide.
Yeah.
I'd say a lot more Yankee fans than Mets, but there's still a big
contingent
of fans that are I don't fuck with the Yankees.
At all.
Same with the Jets and Giants.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
I'd say the same with Rangers and Islanders. In the city, it's way more Rangers, but as you move out towards Long Island, you get way more the Islanders. That's why the Islanders. Yeah. But it's always been the Knicks. If you were a basketball fan in New York and you grew up and your dad didn't root for the Bulls or the Lakers or some shit, you grew up being a Knicks fan.
Yeah.
Even with the Nets coming over, bro, you're from Jersey. Ain't nothing cool in Jersey but Atlantic City, and that even sucks.
Yeah.
So
Shots fired.
That is the city's team, and Kenny, that's why the Knicks fans be bugging out when that shit happens.
I feel it. I mean, we got the Warriors, and you're in the Bay Area, you're a Warriors fan, unless you're one of those weirdos that's a Laker fan. But if you're in the Bay Area, you're Warriors, and that's why when the Warriors won, everybody showed out. It's the same thing with baseball. Yeah, there's the A's and Giants, but there's not really that divide. You have, everybody goes to Giants games. You see, nobody goes to A's games. And when the A's come to Vegas, nobody's going to go to A's games.
Dang, you think so?
I don't think so. I mean, honestly, unless they start spending money and stop being a farm team for every other team in the MLB, they are not going to fill that stadium.
You're not going to go to the Spherical Armadillo?
Hell no.
I'll be there.
I follow my Raiders because I'm loyal to my Raiders.
Yeah.
I got the shield tatted on me.
There it is.
You know what I'm saying? But I support both the A's and the Giants, and now I'm more of a Giants fan just because of the fact that they never left.
That's fair.
And the A's said that they're rooted in Oakland. Okay, you started in Philadelphia.
Yeah.
Then you moved to Kansas City.
Take them back, kid.
Then you moved to Oakland, and now you're going to Vegas. So how are you rooted in Oakland?
You just were there the longest.
Yeah, so you were there. Okay, cool.
Won your championships there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you're not rooted. You just uprooted. like, come on. And people are going to talk about the Raiders. Okay, well, the Raiders tried to stay. The A's actually wanted to leave.
Yeah.
The Raiders had tried to stay. They tried everything they could. Yeah. They said, we'll stay in Oakland. We'll move to Concord. We'll move to Sacramento. We'll go back to L.A. And the league was like, nah. Oakland was like, no, we're not going to help you. So Mark's like, okay, go to Vegas.
Yep.
And you see Raider Nation follows.
That's still so crazy. I'm still a little sad that they didn't get to L.A. because the Chargers had no business ever leaving San Diego.
Chargers have no business being a football team.
Dang. All right. That's in division. There's some personal hate there.
There definitely is some personal hate. And he's been clowning me for years since I met him. He's like, yo, bro, Chargers going to Chargers, save your money.
Yeah, because this guy, every year, Justin Herbert, MVP. Justin Herbert, MVP. Finally, last year he was like, all right. All right, you were right. You were right.
Oh, man. Justin Herbert almost was a lot of teams. He almost was a Commander for a second. At least if you talk and you hear about the mock drafts. Where else were they talking about?
I mean, bro, the year that he went back to school was when the Giants took Daniel Jones because he went back to school to Oregon to play with his brother. But the Giants had never sent more scouts to watch a player more than they did Justin Herbert that year. And he ended up going back to school, and then we took Daniel Jones, and it altered history. So I feel like he owes me. That's another reason why I bet him over here. So now he owes me a lot. Herbo owes me a lot. All right, I want to ask you guys this. And if you go to the Rebet app right now, Rebet is a online sports book that is a social media sports book. It's redeemable real money cash, Rebet cash and Rebet coins. Users can give in-app status based on the number of coins that they have. If you use the promo code VM, they will match your deposit up to $100. So deposit $100, get $100. We're going to give away $100 to one person every week to go and download and use the Rebet app. Use the promo code VM. Go to the description of the episode to see the steps that you got to follow in order to get that free money to deposit on the app. So basically, if you get picked for this shit, you're getting $200 to play on the app because we're giving you the 100.
They're giving you the 100,
and they're giving you the 100 to deposit.
Yep. So you already got $300.
Playing with house money.
Who's better than us, right? Download the app. Use the promo code VM. States that they're available in that big sports betting apps are California, Texas, Utah, Minnesota, Missouri, Alabama, Georgia, South Carolina, Oklahoma, Alaska, Hawaii, Washington. States that they're not available in:
Las Vegas, Nevada,
and Iowa.
California.
You guys know how I feel about Iowa and Idaho.
Dad, what's wrong? You got hate towards Iowa?
It's like I treat Idaho the way I treat like the name Kyle.
Like, what's wrong with Kyle?
Isn't Kyle the most like piece of shit name?
Dang.
And when you think of a piece of shit, don't you think of Kyle first? Like how you think of crazy white women, you think Karen. Like me, I think of like a girl had a shitty ex-boyfriend. I was like, his name was Kyle. And mind you, 2 of my good buddies here in Vegas, their names are Kyle. Great guys. But it's just like, so I feel like every shit place, I think of Idaho first. Like,
Heck, man, they're more than just potatoes.
yeah, I don't know, man. Idaho is just...
Like, we wouldn't have fries
weird,
without
it's
Idaho.
weird.
I ain't got no problem with it.
Yeah, and also rebet, easy to read lines. It's beginner friendly. And minus 105 VIGs. A lot of other places, minus 115, minus 110. Rebet offers the best lines during the playoffs. Download the app and use the promo code VM. Kenny, let me ask you this.
Yeah.
Who do you think wins this series between the Pacers and the Knicks?
I'm taking the Knicks.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm taking the Knicks. I like the way that they've been playing. I think Brunson's going to put the team on his back still. DiVincenzo's going to step up big. I'm taking the Knicks, especially, starting game 1 at home. That's where you set the tone. Madison Square Garden's a hard place to play. And so fans are going to go wild. I'm taking the Knicks. But I think it's going to stretch 7.
Ooh, okay. So based on Kenny's prediction, if it does go 7, you could bet this at Rebet. You could get plus 400. The Knicks are minus 265. Remember, Game 7 will be played in the Garden.
Yep.
So you also have that dynamic as well. And I think that's an interesting one, man. I feel a lot more confident. I think they could put the Pacers away in 5. I think a bet that I'm looking at is Knicks to win by minus 1.5 games. You could get plus 120. So it's something that I did in the first round of the playoffs, which, by the way, crushed. If you guys are Patreon members, you're welcome. Also, if you just listen to the show, because we're giving our picks too, right? Yeah. So double you're welcome. Something you could do in the playoffs, which is really dope. And I've always talked about how I love betting playoff basketball because, bro, have you looked at the box score minutes for all these guys? 40,
39. yeah.
Unless it's a blowout,
12.
You're playing. And if you play for Tibbs, you're playing 49 to 48 minutes. Like, you're playing extra shit. And that's what's cool. And that's why it's my favorite time of the year to bet because you know what you're getting. There's no minute restrictions. Everyone's playing, and they're playing hard, and they're playing to advance, right? There's we'll get them next time. It's like, nah, these games all matter. And that's why I love betting series prices like that. So instead of laying minus 265 on the Knicks, I'm laying plus 129 on them to win by more than 1.5 games. That's the kind of stuff that I like in the NBA playoffs.
No, that's good. I've got Knicks in 6. I think like I said before, late game execution. I feel like they might lose a game at the Garden just off of we saw 2 of the most epic finishes in playoff history in the first series with the Sixers. So I do see them losing 1 game at the Garden. I see them probably maybe dropping 1 in Indy, but then the rest of it they'll finish them out. It's late game execution, and then Indy don't play no defense. So those 2 things are enough.
I want to ask our guy behind the camera real quick. How much more time we got?
Another hour.
Oh. It's way more than I thought that we had. Okay, we
definitely
won't be an hour.
Relax, Chase.
Only the reason why I'm saying that is because the cover art for this episode has not even been addressed yet. So I feel like I do want to spend some time. So we'll probably go a little bit more time on this one. Because the cover art for this episode it's his league and it's Anthony Edwards.
Okay.
We haven't spoke about Anthony Edwards at all. They win game 1. He's had a wild start to the playoffs. I believe he's had 30 in every single game that he's played, with the exception of 1 maybe. I'd have to go back and check.
Drop 43.
Drop 43 in game 1. And the shift in the odds, no team's odds have shifted more than Minnesota's. So at the start of the playoffs, not even during the season, at the start of the playoffs to win the West, 30-1.
Wow.
That's crazy.
Now they're the favorite to win the West. This is just the West. This isn't to win the finals. You could also make these bets at Rebet. Download the app. Use the promo code VM. Cheap plug. Anthony Edwards has been going crazy. I did a segment a couple weeks ago, maybe a couple months ago, where it was SGA, Luka, and Ant-Man.
It was me and you.
It was me and you, right? And it was start, bench, cut. I cut Anthony Edwards.
Wow.
And I told you was crazy.
You told me I was crazy. And He's been going crazy. And dude, how wild is it that he's 22?
Yeah.
Like this is, I feel like a lot of people, and shout out to Combo. Combo's been on the show a bunch. We've done a bunch of content together, and he has a Combo's Court. I was blanking on the podcast that he has. Dude, he had tweets from, I call it the Combo cosign, Josh. If he cosigns you, like he talked about Keegan Murray. He was like, yo, bro, this dude's going to be like a piece on a team.
Yeah.
And he has been, like with the Kings. Like every time he hits a three, the crowd goes, Murray.
Yeah,
you know, like it's a pretty dope thing. But the reason why I bring up Combo is because he was talking about Anthony Edwards, like, yo, this guy's going to be an MVP. This guy's a real deal. And people were calling him crazy. So he was like resurfacing those tweets. And I feel like what he's doing now is what people thought he would be doing 5 years from now.
Yeah.
But he's doing that shit now, bro. He's 22.
Yeah.
And I think the coolest thing about him, well, my personal favorite thing about him is like he shows up to the games with no drip, kind of like joggers, sandals, a fucking Walmart hoodie. I'm sure it's not Walmart, but I'm saying like everyone else comes with these crazy elaborate outfits, and he's just like, I'm gonna go out there and ball, bro. He's talking shit to KD, his idol.
Old school.
Yeah,
Old school
he's
player.
talking shit to all these dudes, and I feel like it rattles some of them because everybody's so lovey-dovey, and they're all playing together. Where a guy's like, "What, bitch?"
Yeah.
They're like, "Oh,
That's what it.
yeah," and that's what it
it's
takes.
supposed to look
and
like.
that's what it takes too.
Yeah, 1,000%. Especially this time of year. Like I want to win.
Yeah. You
This
gotta have the
ain't-
killer instinct.
This ain't about us being friends. I want to win. Like, and all of us have played sports in here. Like, we could be best friends, but when we're playing, I want to win.
Yeah.
And you don't feel that from today's players. Not on a consistent basis, maybe on a stretch, whatever, but like from the tip off to the final buzzer, you don't feel it.
Yeah.
He's one of the few players where Ja Morant, when he's healthy, you feel it from him. Like certain players is like, I'm coming at you, Russell Westbrook. That's the reason why, like him or lump him, you knew he's
gonna
giving
go.
everything he
Yeah.
had to rip your heart out. He just ain't had the jump shot to do it. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, and then I know we're gonna talk about this series because I got my own takes on that. But yeah, look, I'm very happy for him. I'm happy for him. I'm happy for Minnesota that because Karl Anthony Towns was never gonna be the guy to do it.
Yeah.
So for him to get a co-pilot, if you will, that is able to be that alpha and able to bring them over the hump, you know what I mean? They're going to be a very dangerous team.
He's gonna be a problem. You know, Ant-Man's gonna be a problem.
Yeah.
He's you keep going back to he's 22. He hasn't even reached his peak.
No.
Like that's the scary thing. Like he's doing this at 22 years old. Imagine what he's doing at 27.
Yeah.
You know, if you keep playing at this, the trajectory is wild.
Because, I mean, look at it this way, too. 27, what does the league look like then?
Yeah.
So it's a different league. So you're also now projecting what's even out there for him. LeBron's gone. Praise God. We pray that he's gone in five more
seriously.
years. But like,
I would bet money that he's not playing.
I hope not.
I saw this whole series of like LeBron at like 65, he's still clawing to get to the finals.
There's a famous tweet from like a Celtics fan where when I think LeBron was 32, he's like, man, LeBron 32, this shit ain't gonna go on for much longer.
Oh no.
He's been playing at his like prime still until 39.
Yeah.
He's gonna be like, first he wants to play with Bronny. Hey, you know what? I want to play with Bryce now. Like, come on.
Yeah.
Just go. Just go away.
Please.
It was like Tom Brady. Just go away, man.
But see, Tom, at the end, I enjoyed it.
Because Tom became likable.
He did become
became likable. When he left New England and he got out of that whole New England button-down franchise, he became likable. You see him making jokes. You see him drunk at the Super Bowl, pretending like he's going to throw the trophy. Like, he became likable.
Yeah.
And then, they just had the roast.
Yeah.
He just had the roast. Like,
I gotta watch it. I
haven't seen it yet.
So they went at Aaron Hernandez hard. They only made one joke about Robert Kraft with the massages, and Tom like shut it down. So that was interesting. But they were like, yeah, it went dark. Like Aaron Hernandez, there was a joke. My co-host Dave was saying it on my show earlier. Basically, Kevin Hart is so short, he's standing on a stool that Aaron Hernandez kicked from underneath himself.
Jesus.
Yeah, I heard.
It got serious.
There was a deflate gate. There was the tuck rule.
Yeah, I was loving it because there was a lot of jiu-jitsu references too. Because
you watched it?
I watched some of it. I got like a best of.
Giselle.
And the jiu-jitsu coach definitely got a lot of love.
Yeah.
Slandering. Dana White got cooked bad too.
Did he?
Oh, Dana White. Andrew Schultz, the comedian from New York, was Dana White is here because Tom Brady's going to need to learn how to take half the purse from Brazilians.
Oh, shit.
Since he's going through the divorce.
Wow.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, that was pretty rough,
That's
man.
pretty good.
But, dude, back to the series, right? They steal game one. I'm going to try to get this clip out as quick as possible. I hope the people that see this also listen to the show, because this is where you hammer the Nuggets -5.5. If the Nuggets are a team that we think they are, and I still think that it's been a massive overreaction to them losing game one, I still think that they're the team to beat in the West. Hell, in the whole NBA, I still think they're the team to beat.
Yep.
I think it's just a letdown, them coming out of that series. And, both teams were pretty much well-rested because Minnesota 1-4, the Nuggets 1-5.
Yep.
But I think Denver just didn't play their A game. They've always played their A game. And I still think that they're the premier team in the West. They're 5.5-point favorites. I'm going to try to clip this as quick as possible. If you're listening to this on the audio, fucking hammer this game tonight. I feel very confident. It's a classic bounce-back spot. Right? You lose outright game one. I think they come back. They beat them by double digits. And it's not a knock to Minnesota. It's just, I think that Denver is a prideful team. They're a really good fucking team. They're the defending champs, and they're at home.
Yeah.
They have to go balls to the wall because you don't want to go down 2-0
Right.
Yeah.
and have to go into Minnesota to try to win 2 games, because if you're Minnesota and you go back home up 2-0,
We're
holy shit, it's going to be wild up there.
yeah.
So I think that this is a classic spot. I think Jokic has a monster game. I think Jamal Murray has a monster game. And I think one of these unsung heroes is going to step up. And by unsung, I mean like a 15-piece from like Braun off the bench or KCP hits 4 threes in the first half. Like one of those games, especially those role players at home. So I think...
What do you have the series?
I'm still leaning with Denver.
Denver and what?
I just bet them to win in 6. Despite losing game one, because there's another thing with the NBA playoffs which is really interesting, especially if you know a team is good. Like we all know and agree that the Nuggets are a good team, right? So they were -200 to win the series. They dropped game one. They're +120. I think that's a massive overcorrection, and I bet them to win the series now after dropping game one.
Yep.
And then I just have a lot of futures tied to them and the Mavericks. So best case scenario for me, so I could turn a profit, the Final Four in both conferences, Mavericks and Nuggets against Knicks and Celtics.
That's honestly, and I think I'd said this with you before, I said whoever wins the Mavs Clippers was going to the conference finals, and then the Nuggets. I've got the Nuggets in 6, and my main reason is because I said this on my show earlier, the path to 110 points for the Timberwolves, it just isn't there. And that's how many points they're going to need to get every game to win this series. And you know what I mean, when you look at just the numbers, and I kind of just gave, rough numbers. I was saying, okay, with Anthony Edwards averaging 35 a game, right? Like, go ahead and give him 35. You already dropped 43. Give him 35. You give Cat 28. You give Gobert 12. You give Conley 10. You give Naz Reid 15. That's still only 95 points.
Yeah.
They still got to find 15 more points from other players. Whereas when you look over to, the Nuggets, Jokic 25, Murray 25, KCP 15, Aaron Gordon 12, Porter 20, Braun, like you said, 8, Reggie Jackson 8. That's at 108, and that's without any of their big names having a big game. That's just them doing their job. Well, y'all give me 25 and, 25, and then, Michael Porter Jr. dropping 20. That's already 70 points off of 3 people. They don't have the path forward.
And this is a team that has the experience.
Yeah.
They're coming off a win. They've got the experience. This is, Minnesota's a young team. They don't have that experience. And so that really does play a hand as well. So I'm kind of with you on Nuggets and 6. I think that's a solid bag. I have the Nuggets. I said whoever wins this series is going to go on and win the finals.
Okay.
But my early pick was Nuggets Celtics.
Yep. I'm praying it's Nuggets Knicks. I'm praying.
Me too for you.
You know what would be a dope series? Like from like storylines and shit? Mavericks and Knicks.
That would be cool. That would be really
Brunson
cool.
against Mavs.
Yeah.
Kyrie versus New York.
Yeah.
Just the Knicks going back to the finals would be fucking crazy.
Luka finally getting the moment. Yeah, no, that's actually that would be the best storylines for sure.
The lamest finals would feature the Celtics, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And I'm not even a big Celtic hater because, like, whatever. I don't despise Boston as much as other New Yorkers do because, like, my teams don't really have a rivalry with Boston. And they haven't broken my hearts the way, like, Red Sox fans might have broken Yankee fans' hearts. Or whatever it
fair.
might
That's
be.
right. You're a Mets guy.
I'm a Mets guy, so Red Sox don't bother me. We always beat the Patriots when it mattered. So, like, I'm cool with New England. It's fine.
That's fair.
Now, I do shit on New England and Boston fans, 35 to 25-year-olds. Like, hey, man, you can't complain.
Right.
Yeah.
Because you've seen, at worst, 11 wins a year. And you've seen, I think they've won 19 championships, like the city of Boston.
Probably.
It's like, if you're a 35-year-old, you've seen 19 championships in total.
Shoot, and look, even the New England Revolution have won a MLS.
And bro, even your bad Patriot year, you went to the divisional round of the playoffs, which I would do a lot of shit to like get to the divisional round. I'd be hyped. So I don't want to hear nothing if you're a Pats fan. So like with the Celtics, they're just, to me, I don't know, man. I feel like they're a lame team. Like they're not a cool team. Like the storylines and shit. Kenny has no ties to New York. He's like, yo, I want the Knicks to win just because the fans go crazy.
Yeah.
I don't want to see the Celtics, bro.
I think we all, honestly, any NBA fan really can say that we enjoy watching Madison Square Garden go crazy like Patrick Ewing was there. You know what I mean? Like, and I was talking to one of my Knicks fans, like, the coolest thing, and Jerome went to the game where they came back in the last that last little bit. He was sitting right next to Spike. And I was just talking about just how it's the energy in New York is just so different. It's so different, and it's so cool that the legends come back. Like when you look at all the other teams in the league, they don't showcase, Carmelo in the stands and or this guy in the stands, or if they do, it's one guy. It's not, Latrell Sprewell, Allen Houston, Larry Johnson all kicking it together as a trio. Like, you know what I mean? Like all the guys are kind of sitting around their guys.
That's been the coolest thing to see these OG Knick players looking and reacting like fans.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like they still, because once a Knick, you're always a Knick. You know what I mean? Jerome was only there for a hot minute. He was only there for a year, and he still gets love from New York Knicks fans. And Jerome was on his last toenail in New York. He had bad knees, bad elbows, was still diving into the crowd. Like, you know
on his last toenail.
It's different. So I'm always rooting for the Knicks.
You should. You should. It's good for basketball. It's good for entertainment standpoints, and also like the team's a fun team. Like that's another thing. We've had this conversation before in the past, and we'll end with this because I want to hear your take on it. Have you ever felt like I know you love the Raiders, but do you ever feel like there's some seasons where you just like them because they're not? It doesn't have to do with wins, because one of my favorite Giant years was Odell's rookie year. They won 6 games. Mm-hmm. But like they were fun, bro. Like Odell was catching slants. Eli looked like, was kind of back. Eli had a really wacky career if you really look at it, but he was balling and Odell's catching the slants and all that. And, they're scoring 30 points a game. So at least they're fun. So, like,
Yeah.
I loved that team in 2014, but they won 6 games. So my question to you is, have you ever felt like, yo, I love this team, but now I just like them because maybe there's scandals, maybe there's all this other shit going into it?
Yeah, I mean, that kind of gives me the past couple years. So you had last year, I loved the Raiders. I just liked them when Josh McDaniel was there. He just pissed me off so much.
Right. So a coach could tie into this description too.
Because
Okay,
then when AP took over, that Raider spirit came back.
Yeah.
Smoking cigars in the locker room after games.
And dude, I fuck with AP.
Yeah. AP
greatest defensive play I've ever seen in my life. I'll never forget it. They were playing the NFC title game. I've told you this so many times, Josh. They were playing the NFC title game against the Packers. Brett Favre runs a screen to, I think it was Ryan Grant. And, bro, there's 3 offensive linemen. It was like a 3rd and 7. There's 3 offensive linemen going, and it's just Antonio Pierce. And he fucking swims by one of them, makes the tackle, and I'm like, I remember I got into football like 2005.
Yeah.
So that was 3 years later. I was like, yo, I think this is the greatest defensive play I've ever seen. My friends were like, yo, you're bugging. I was like, I don't know, man. That shit was wild. And as I got older, I'm like, yeah, I knew what I was talking about, bro.
AP, he brings that same intensity to practice. He brings the same intensity to the game. I mean, just the way that the players responded to him, you can see that they took on his spirit.
Yeah.
Him, you got Max Crosby leading the team. You got Max Crosby, Devontae leading the offense. These guys are guys that fit the Raider persona. They fit the Raider image. Devontae grew up a Raider fan. AP grew up a Raider fan in Compton, And so you have these guys that fit that bad boy spirit back what we used to have back in the day. And it made me love this team again. Like really, really love this team. Like fall back in love. Like it was like, it was like your girl got her hair done, got her nails done. It was like, oh damn, you still are fine. Okay. And so when Josh McDaniels was there, I didn't feel that. I didn't like it. Everything was buttoned down. He was trying to do the Patriot way.
Yeah.
The social media team was not doing it. They weren't posting anything. Now they're out there posting new phone, who this? Like they're doing new stuff. They're doing fire content.
Yeah.
And so it made me love this team again. But because there was a period where I'm like, I ain't even gonna go. I'm not even gonna go to games. I'm just gonna sell my tickets. Like I'm not gonna fight. Like there was times I told Nick, I was like, hey, I'm gonna be out here for this game, and then come time, I was like, nah, I ain't feeling it. Like, nah.
The reason I shake my head is because you're both welcome for Antonio Pierce, because without the Redskins, it would have never happened.
Yeah.
Daggone shame. And another player that we just let slide through the cracks. Ryan Clark. Every time I talk to Ryan Clark, I always am like, we should never let you go, Ryan. Freaking let you go for Adam Archuleta.
Man.
Like, yeah.
Everybody thought Adam Archuleta was going to be a stud, though.
No, remember, Adam Archuleta was coming off of Pro Bowls, but he was old.
Yeah.
But Ryan Clark, it was like him and Sean Taylor really, really made something together.
Yeah.
And he was this undrafted guy that came out of nowhere and played really well. And it was like, hey, sign him. We can sign him something cheap. No, Daniel Snyder, we'll go sign this random white boy and we're going to give him all this money guaranteed and then mess up your team.
Yep.
Yeah, you guys have given some wacky. Albert Hainsworth. That was crazy.
Trent.
Landon
Deion
Collins.
Sanders.
Landon Collins, you stole from the Giants. I was pissed about that, but then I was like, $16 million. That's a lot a year.
Yeah.
Landon
and then
Collins.
back on the team 2 years later. Another draft pick that didn't re-sign with the Giants. Yeah.
That's fair.
Well, we could go on and on, man. Kenny, thanks for stopping by, bro.
Yeah, no
Appreciate you. Always good to see you. Let the people know where they can find you and the content you're working on.
Yeah, so right now I've got the Real Talk podcast. We're also doing the Black Team broadcast. Every Wednesday we got that show dropping. It's on every network that you got. You can find me on Twitter at KennyKing_Jr. My tweets are not for the faint of heart. So if you don't like to laugh, then don't follow me.
Josh, how about you?
Man, you already know the American Fan 365. Make sure you like, share, subscribe. Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Facebook. We're out here.
All things Veterans Minimum are at Veterans Minimum, and we'll catch you guys next time.
In his element, I'm a gold medalist, bronze like your medal is. So many deer in headlights, but it's bedtime. Hear that supper bell, main course be the venison.
Dab. Most dangerous game. Either kill or be killed.